It's a time of general tension. General, literal anxiety. The vulnerable, the scared, are all kicking themselves, sitting in their houses wondering what's gonna happen next. And the government can't give them an answer. And that's not because the government are evil, that's purely because they can't predict the future. And the situation we're in at the moment is so unpredictable, it's ridiculous. Now, as a mental health channel, as a brand in itself that provides mental health advice, and the idea of this brand is to provide you entertainment and support, I generally have a vision that I have a massive role to play in all this coronavirus business. Over the last 2 days, I've been debating whether to just keep on my normal schedule or divert towards the coronavirus. And as you can probably tell through the title of this video, the decision was to divert towards the coronavirus. Social media has been going crazy recently. People saying they're struggling to cope. Mental health literally going like this. And the NHS, quite frankly, not having the capacity to deal with it. So, as a mental health provider and someone who's meant to be providing you guys with mental health advice, today I'm going to go over some ways you can help yourself when it comes to dealing with coronavirus anxiety and the anxieties that come along with a pandemic. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Focus to Future community. I was just about to say, I hope you're having a good day, but considering the situation at the moment, I don't think that's very appropriate. So we'll leave that one there. Today's video, we are kind of talking about coronavirus and all that jazzy stuff and updating you about how to deal with coronavirus anxiety and all that stuff. So again, if you're not in the mood for all that, or if it's all a bit too much for you, or you're generally just not interested in it, please use the card above to learn a bit more about me. However, if you are interested in the channel in general, please don't be scared to hit that subscribe button to join our community. But let's jump in and talk about coronavirus anxiety. People are generally panicking. The world seems to have gone into some form of absolute state of pure distress, and like we are about to enter a full-blown apocalypse, or like the Germans are gonna come and bomb us again. But we're not. The panic, the distress, the over-exaggeration, the pure anxiety and pure reaction of the members of the public is not helping the government deal with coronavirus and the pandemic situation correctly. It's actually making the situation worse. By stockpiling, you're not even helping the economy, you're not even helping yourself, you're just putting the vulnerable at risk, because when they go into the shop later that day, they're not going to be able to get anything themselves. The government have dealt with this better than they ever could have. They've been as clear as they possibly can right now, and realistically, I think they're doing an amazing job. And let's remember that I'm normally the type of person who criticises everything the government does. It's hard to hear. The truth hurts. Stop panicking. Instead of panicking, we should be working together. We should be working as a team to support each other in these vital stages of self-isolation and pure measures that are to stop the coronavirus. Instead of panicking and going ahead and stocking up on every piece of food you can on the planet, it's time to think realistically and think about others. Communities getting together, social pages on social media, and the support for the elderly and vulnerable are vital in these situations. As much as this pandemic is going to affect us financially and physically, it's also going to have more mental effects than you could even imagine. And self-isolating is generally not advised by any mental health advisor ever. And I'm going to tell you now, it's going to be a mental health up and down road from here on out. So, how do we cope with the anxiety, the tension, and the pure urge to go out there and just panic and overstock on food to the point where you sit there and eat an entire packet of digestives forgetting the world around you. Because I totally haven't done that this week. Now, like this beautiful Duracell battery right here, I don't know why I'm using this as an example. It needs power. Without power, this thing doesn't operate. And it's the same with your brain. You don't give it enough power and enough energy, decides to shut down on you. And in these vital times, coronavirus is using more of your mental health energy than you could even imagine. And that's not going to help you. So it's really important to stay energized, sleep, make sure you're eating well and keeping hydrated. So, today, on top of sleeping, eating, and doing all the regular stuff that you have to do, I'm going to give you a couple of tips on how to make sure you can keep your anxiety levels down. However, before we do that, I have to do some legal stuff. I know, the world's amazing. So, obviously, coronavirus is a big topic at the moment. I'm not a mental health professional, neither am I any form of health professional. So this video is completely, non-legal, non-professional, and I'm giving you advice from what I've seen on the internet, from my own experiences, and from what I've studied. So please don't take this advice like it's professional advice, because it's not. Also, let's remember the key tips for the coronavirus right now. At the moment, washing hands for 20 seconds is key. Every time you leave the house, every time you come into the house, every time you touch surfaces, every time you touch someone's hand, and every time you cough or sneeze, catching it and throwing it away. As they say, catch it, kill it, bin it. Social distancing is now also becoming a thing, making sure you're only going outside if it's 100% necessary, and making sure you're keeping yourself away from things you don't need to be near. Any other forms of advice and any other forms of government advice that's needed will be linked down below. Anyway, apart from all that, again, all the links will be down below. My first tip for you in keeping your anxiety levels low during this coronavirus pandemic is keeping your unnecessary ads and unnecessary websites away from you. Your phone, the thing that is filming right now, and the thing that you have in your hand 99% of your day, is probably the biggest cause of all your anxieties. Let's face it, it's probably the main things that's giving you consistent news updates and keeping you updated with the coronavirus situation. Now, to no extent am I telling you to completely ditch all news and to not look at the news, but what I am telling you is to limit the amount of news you watch to make sure you're not overloading yourself. Don't go on websites that are untrustworthy, that just randomly pop up in your notifications or feeds. The chances are they're not going to do you any good, and there is a chance that they are fake. It's only really necessary to be looking at your key news sites like the BBC News in the UK and any other ones that are in any other countries. Look at ones that you can generally rely on. Look at the gov.uk website or any other reliable websites in other countries. But there's no need to be following coronavirus update Instagrams and coronavirus update Twitters. It's just not necessary. If a person you follow starts posting consistently about coronavirus and it is making you anxious, just don't follow them anymore. It's unnecessary. Because trust me, there's a lot of exaggeration through the media. A lot of the media is making this a lot worse than it is. So let's not follow them sites and cause us extra anxiety than we already have. Now, for young people especially, and I think even for adults who run a business, the key thing here is meditation and full relaxation and enjoyment. The three things of meditation, relaxation and enjoyment are really important during pure crisis. You need to be letting your body just completely forget about the world for a few seconds. Now, I normally advise people to meditate, but in these key stages, that advice ups one. Instead of meditating once a day, you can even start doing it twice a day. And if you were doing it once a week beforehand, you can bump that up to every other day. Because, quite frankly, your brain's going to need to relax a lot more now a crisis is underway. And most importantly, you've got to have a period of time every day where you just sit down and do nothing and just relax. You're not looking at your phone, you're not scrolling through the news, you're not looking at fake news stories or whatever you're looking at. You're just playing a game or having a chat with your friends, not about coronavirus, and your mind's just completely off it all. Especially if you are self-isolating, them three things will be the things that are going to keep you going. The next biggest tip I have for you is calling friends and family often, having chats with them, talking to them about how you feel about the situation and how you can make sure that things are going smoothly. Now, obviously, I do understand these things are not always easy, and during these periods where self-isolation is a thing and social distancing is a thing, sometimes these things are not even possible. But in this moment, you can pick up your phone and you can call a friend and you can text a friend. That's fine. Obviously, communication is important. The last tip I have for you, which is going to hit a lot of your heartstrings and is going to hit your brain harder than it ever will, is being acceptant of reality and trying to live life to its fullest while you have it. I can't really say this in any other way, as Boris Johnson couldn't in his speech, that people are going to lose loved ones. People are going to die, and it's pretty much it can't be prevented. The government's doing as much as they can to prevent it being absolutely fatal to where tens and thousands are dying, but people are going to die no matter what the government do. And as hard as it is for me to say, and even saying this kind of feels wrong, it's time to accept that at some point, or if not at some point, but if it comes to the situation where that does happen, you need to be ready for it. While that's not happening, living to the fullest, appreciating the things you have. Because in vital times like this, you might not have it in the next couple of weeks. Now, I get it, okay? Me giving you these tips probably sounds a bit pathetic. And if I'm honest, I can get where you're coming from. I'm literally sitting here telling you in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of a situation where you could be losing loved ones on the spot, to stay calm and meditate. Probably sounds a bit impossible right now. But sometimes we all have to be grown adults, and we have to accept that life is life, and sometimes we've just got to push through. However, if we don't carry out these desperately needed things, our mental health is going to deteriorate, and if people's mental health is deteriorating, the government's not going to be able to take control of this. The government needs the support of the people fully by its side in a state of crisis. And if we're not fully by its side, we really can't criticise the government. I'm not going to brag on about this any longer. This is probably, it's not one of the final videos I'm going to make about this, but I'm probably only going to make one more video on this. And then I'm done. Or unless it really does extend into something really bad. But at the moment, my plan is to not make more than one more video on this situation. But we all do need to be keeping our anxiety levels low and doing what's best for us. And making sure that our mental health comes first in these times of crisis. There is no point of trying to sit here and try and do work or try and do schoolwork if our mental health is just going down the sewers. So guys, please, look after your mental health and do the tips I've given you, or tips that you know help, and stay safe. Apart from that, guys, I wish you all the best, and I will catch all you dudes next time.